Hello, Alena. Hey. Hey, my kindred spirit friend. You made a wonderful announcement today. Can you let our listeners know what you said?
I am running for Congress, District 1.
Woo!
And now we're at a point in history where we are on the verge of losing everything. And instead of passing down unheard of prosperity to our children, we're about to pass down chains of slavery to them. But I have great hope in the future. And the reason I have great hope is because it is through difficult times that it is when we are on the verge of losing freedom, when we feel it getting choked out, when we feel the noose of tyranny tightening around our necks, that people wake up and start to fight back. One of the most amazing things in the last couple of years has been, in my mind, the mama bears. These women who have stood up and fought against their children being masked, who have fought against their children being taught the garbage and being taught in their schools. It has been the women who have stood up as warriors of light and fought against this government that has gotten completely out of line. Women who have stood up when the men have stayed sitting down. And I'm speaking to the choir with the men here. The reason I support Alena is because she represents this movement of mothers. Of mothers who care about the world their children are going to inherit. Of mothers who understand the importance of family. We're watching this country fall apart, and it has everything to do with the destruction of taking God out of this country, destroying marriage, and destroying families. Why do I support Alena? You saw her family. I don't know what could qualify someone more than to raise a family like she's raised. And especially under the conditions she began her family under. And if you don't know her story, you don't know the power of this couple who, against all odds, raised an absolutely incredible family when they had no business and everything working against them. Why do I support Alena? Because she understands that if we don't put God back as the source of our rights, and we allow government to replace God, it all goes downhill. Alena she is a patriot. You've seen her stand up and fight. You've seen her put her reputation on the line. You've seen her stand up and take the hate that's coming to her. Alena won't back down. Why do I support Alena? Because we have politicians that care more about power and climbing the ranks of power than serving the people who are supposed to be their employers. Alena doesn't seek power. She seeks to take power down. We need people in office who are going to office not for the fame, not for the fanfare, not to climb the power structure, but to serve the people, and in today's world, go to battle against these criminals in D.C., to expose the garbage, to pull the curtains back and show the American people what's really happening there, who won't be allured and attracted to the wealth and to the glitter, to all the fun things, the things that they try to get people and buy them off with. We need people to run for office who care about families, who care about the Constitution, who cares about what this country was founded upon, that will not sell us out. Alena is that type of person. And if we are going to take this country back, it's not going to be career politicians who are going to do it. It is going to be we the people. People like you, people like me. I have no career political experience, none. But I love this country. I love what it's founded upon. I love the principles it's founded upon. And I love the people of this country. And tell me that's not what this country is supposed to be built upon. Farmers leaving their fields, going and serving for a couple of years, and then going home. I love what Alena's doing, and I know full well that she and her family are about to walk through the gates of hell. And that takes courage. And we need women and men of courage to stand up against this government who is waging war on us from within, who are not afraid of the bureaucrats, who are not afraid to say what needs to be said. And Alena is that person. And I want to thank her and her husband for doing the most important thing we can do in this country, which is raising families. Not letting the state raise them, but raising them ourselves. I think one of the greatest things they've done is been married for how many years? 25 years. And where they start is the best part of it all. They have an incredible story. And if they can overcome what they overcame, this is nothing. These guys are warriors. And I say these guys because it is a husband and wife. They are warriors. And I'm thankful for them. I'm thankful to be considered a friend. And I hope you all, I'd like everyone to stand up and give Alena a round of applause. With that being said, I'll turn over to Alena and say, God bless America and God bless this amazing family.
As I look around, I think, I can't help but think of this climax in this moment of my life, where we have worked, so many of us have worked side by side. And I am so grateful. The best thing that happened to America, to the American people, was COVID. Because where they tried to destroy us, we gathered. Where they tried to fill us with lies, we found truth. And I am so thankful. I have so many memories with so many of you that have fought by my side. And I'm thankful for that. I know you came to hear an announcement, and it will come. But I'm going to make you wait. Because I'm good at that. But tonight, I don't want you to think this for once is about me. This has nothing to do with me. This has everything to do with us. With everything we hold dear and everything we're about to lose. Because I know this, that if we do not stand now, we stand to lose everything. And history will record the greatest perplexity, that our once great nation, leader of the free world, fell cowardice. And then what will we say? How will we answer to God? Everything I have done in my life, I have followed my conscience. And I have done what I felt I needed to do, even when I didn't want to do it. Even if it was hard and I was scared. And I took the courage. And since I have done that so many times, I've developed a sense of trust in God. And with that, I want to ask you, raise your hand if you feel the squeeze of government at this time. Keep your hands up or raise them if you're concerned about your children and your grandchildren's futures. Keep them up if you're concerned about the moral decay and the disintegration of the family. And with that, keep your hand up if you believe the Constitution will be saved. How? By people like you and me. A lot of those people did not, the founders, many of them, had no business doing what they were doing. But isn't that how God works? He finds the most unsuspecting person, and he plants into them an idea because he knows that we are qualified with what we are called to do. And I want you to know that I don't take decisions lightly. This is not something that I woke up one day and said, hey, I'm going to go do this. I was just asked before the meeting, when did you decide your answer to do this? And the answer was when I decided not to. Because I had somebody try to convince me not to, and they said, hey, let me do it for you. And I said, okay, good. I'm just gonna finish my master's, because that's really what I originally started to do, and then finish raising my family and enjoy my grandbaby. That's what I'm gonna do. But the Spirit nodded at me. And it nodded, and my husband said, you know your answer, you're deciding that. And so, against all odds and looking to the abyss of actual hell, paralyzed with fear at times, I made the decision to jump. Because I love my family. And I love this country. And there's not anything that I haven't done, not a system I haven't touched, not a thing that I haven't tried that wasn't civil or constitutionally sound. And all I ask God is to allow me to be a vessel, if that is what my calling is to be and to do. So with that, before I announce anything, I'm going to tell you what path I am running on. Number one, faith. Faith in God, because I believe that we have a Creator who created for us this beautiful world and this experience, this sojourn we call life. I believe that He gave us divinity and the potential to become like Him. And that relationship with our higher power is sacred. And government was instituted to protect that relationship and to facilitate. It is not to encroach. I know that God has a plan for every one of us. And that we were sent here at this time, and we have to ask, what is my calling? And then do it. And the second thing, we have to make sure that we understand that this is not a political battle. I know people say, I've lost friends, I've lost family members, I have lost people because they don't understand why I do what I do. There is not one thing in our lives that is not touched by politics. I hate politics. I'm not a politician. I'm not groomed, I'm not trained, I'm not polished. What I am is a simple person that's defending freedom. I don't even like to call it freedom fighting because it has a negative connotation. I am a defender of freedom, light, and truth. And if we believe the Constitution will be saved, we have to believe that God wins. We have to trust that, as Jason said, this nation is a nation of miracles, and we're going to do this. And then we have to follow the direction and the inspiration that comes from our higher power. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against rulers of darkness of this world, and against spiritual wickedness in high places. This is most definitely a spiritual battle, and there's always been one, against liberty and captivity, good versus evil, light versus dark. The second thing I'm running on is family, because family is the essence of the creation. It's why we're here. It's our greatest joys, our sorrows, what we sacrifice for, what we get out of bed for. It's who we want to spend holidays with sometimes. But it is our lives, and it is the center of our lives. God instituted the family. And it is through families that we can save a nation. I believe that once we strengthen families, we desperately need policies in place to protect the sacred institution of marriage and families. Because if we're going to fix things, we need to fix our families. And I am no stranger to what's happening and the effects it's had on my children. The third thing is freedom. Faith, family, and freedom. Faith, family, freedom are F's. It rolls better, but I like liberty better, and I prefer that there's a deeper meaning because there's a spiritual obligation that connects with liberty. But if we understand the proper role of government, we've got to stop asking politicians for permission. We've got to stop making sure that we're following all these ridiculous rules. I have challenged politicians. By what authority do you have to require this of the people, your employers? I have said this on record. I have said this in the public. We did away with the 13th Amendment because we are created equal. And I'm not suggesting anarchy, but I am suggesting the government has forgotten its place. And we have to make sure that we live in a society that we remind them that we, the people, hold the power. So I wanted to talk, and I will say, the only crazier thing than me running for office is the condition of our country. And the only crazier thing than the condition of our country is if we did absolutely nothing. And so with that, I'm going to run. I'm going to trust God. And I'm just going to see what tomorrow brings. But I can assure you this, I'm going to fight, and I will bring the same fight. And those of you that know me know everything that I have approached. So I wanted to share with you, for those that don't know the work that I've done. I've been quietly working behind the scenes in areas that I feel inspired. I'm highly connected in the state. I have friends that have different gifts and talents. And so people have picked different things to do, and I've kind of helped a little bit in every different area that I could, or where I was needed. But the first thing is, again, I showed up to meetings, I showed up to rallies, to public hearings, to protests, to peaceful protests, to those things to show up and to be a number, to be a body in the seat. I was at Granite School District, and that whole thing went down, and I simply showed up to stand with my neighbor. And I will always do that. I have agreed to public speaking. Did you guys know that a few years ago, well, it might have been 7 or 8 years ago, I was assigned to talk at church, and I was paralyzed with fear, and I was crying. And I told my husband, I can't do this, I can't public speak. I had to learn to overcome fear and just trust. Because I recognize that we don't progress unless we do. Legislation. I have worked on legislation. I have had legislators reach out to me and ask me for advice and input. I helped write bills, but I can assure you they didn't pass because it was too conservative. So let me tell you something about conservatism. What is conservatism? Because I ran for the SEC in Davis County, and we had the conservative platform. Conservative means to preserve. What are we preserving? Principles and values. Why would anybody want to run on something other than that? That's where we're at. And it's not about personal opinion. Principles are different. They're eternal. It's kind of like the idea of morality. The more moral the people are, the more liberty they experience. Benjamin Franklin said, only a virtuous people are capable of freedom. So the more immoral we become, the more we lose liberty and we experience the overhand of government. We have to be moral people. The rule of law. This is my favorite. So those of you, many of you know, I collected affidavits from all over the state of Utah because I saw what was happening in 2020 and I said, no more. I saw what it was doing to businesses. The suicide rate, by the way, Utah has the highest suicide rate in the country. I saw people being deprived of going to weddings, funerals, births, deaths. I saw the elderly being isolated. Just recently, my parents had COVID and I couldn't get to them. I could not get to my parents. My father has Parkinson's. My poor mother, my poor aged, deathly sick mother, inside an assisted living, had to attend to my father, and all they did was slide food in the door and check on their vitals. You tell me that this is okay in America. No, this is why I fight. This is why I've always fought, because I saw where it was going and I saw what was going to happen. I can't even be there for my daughter's birth. I can't even go to the hospital. This is not America. And this is just the beginning. This is the horror stories that I'm just preaching to the choir. You all know. So I took affidavits from harm and damage from Utahns all over the state. I drove across the state. I went to events. I talked to people. I said, tell me your story. Put it on this affidavit. It's sworn under penalty of perjury. Do you know what that means? People are willing to die, people are willing to go to jail. It is their sworn statement that what they put on there is true, and they're willing to go to court and testify. So with 700 pages of affidavits, I included 150 pages of signatures of people who wanted an investigation. I included the Utah Constitution and the federal constitutional violations. And then I went and had a visit with Sheriff Smith in Utah County, who was over Herbert. And he said, well, the Constitution is left for interpretation. And I said, what do you need? He says, well, I need some code. So I cited off some federal codes to him. He says, no, I can't abide by federal code. I need Utah code. It was December 22nd of last year. I went home and read 417 pages of Utah's criminal codes. And I was in a unique position because I copied and pasted all of the codes that corresponded with those affidavits. And I got 30 pages. So I said, here you go. I don't think he expected that. Now, on a side note, I did the same thing to Sheriff Buchanan over Cox. And then I spent an hour and a half in the Attorney General's office discussing this. And I put them on the line. The only person that closed the case was Utah County. The deputy DA told me there's no evidence of crime. I said, really? Thanks for putting that in writing, because you didn't even question these people. They have a right to their day in court. I said, I'm not done with this. So, rule of law. I know we need law enforcement, and sheriffs are constitutional defenders. They are not code enforcers. They are constitutional defenders. I have written a declaration. I've gotten Utah groups to sign it. I went up to Cache Valley, visited with Sheriff Jensen, who is the president of the Sheriff Association of Utah. And I said, this was August. I said, what are you going to do? We have school starting. We have parents. Tensions are rising. We have this vaccine mandate that's going to come. People are going to lose their jobs. How did I know that? I said, what are you doing about it? He says, what do you want me to do about it? I said, I want equal protection and prosecution for everybody regardless of status. And with that, I said, make a phone call. I asked Sheriff Smith, did you even call Herbert? Does he know there's 700 pages of affidavits against him? Does he know there's a case opened against him? Because he's in breach of contract. He is in breach of his oath to the people. And I said, call. When you see, I said, some of these constituents, my stack is like this big. I still have it. I said, when you see some of your constituents are being harassed, are you calling the governor and saying you cannot pose as a physician and require mandates on people? You can't do it. Any other year than 2020 plus, masking our children would be child abuse. And it absolutely is. It's disgusting. And then I said the second thing. Put a cease and desist. Third thing, you make an arrest. And I said, I don't advocate for violence, but I'm telling you something, tensions are growing thin. And we need you. I said, here's a declaration. There's principles of a sheriff's role and responsibility. A sheriff's authority supersedes all other law enforcement in the state. He can arrest a governor. He can. And so with that, I have challenged the rule of law. Because what I believe is happening is law enforcement is the direct barrier between liberty and tyranny. And if they don't step it up, we're left our own devices. And I hate to see that day. But we need to know, they need to know we support them, but we also need to understand that they defend, or that they honor their oath. So the other thing that I've done, because you know I've done everything else, is I formed a lawsuit. You might be interested to know that the last 4 digits of the claim number is 1776. It is my trademark. So all defendants have a claim or have a charge against them, claim against it. There's some number in 1776. So with that, it's a 1983 Title 42 deprivation of rights. Herbert, Cox, Minor, Dunn, Saunders, and Henderson are on that. December 6th, December 6th, we have asked the court to quickly make a decision. And we have them in a very good place. Secondly, I also went after Davis School District, and I'm not done. So Davis School District, I stood by Mike Brown. Mike, where are you? Mike Brown. He has been targeted in Davis County. Mike Brown has been targeted in Davis County because he spoke, and it's all recorded. He had a very peaceful, he's a nice guy, very nice, peaceful comment, but they didn't like what he had to say, so they served him a notice of trespass. They even attempted an arrest when he tried to pick up his sons at school. He can't step foot on school property. So I have stood by my side. Him and I are in a lawsuit against Davis School District. Because they are not listening in any other way. We have written emails, we have called, we have showed up, we have protested, we've tried to have conversations, we've tried to work with legislators. Everything is going against us. And enough is enough. If it takes money to talk and that's all we have to work on, then so be it. But what you will know from me and what you will get from me is I will try everything I can within our Constitution and the rules of civil procedure to do what needs to be done. Election integrity. I've been involved with the main group of Utah. Jen, raise your hand. Jen is... affidavits that were sent in by thousands of Utahns to the Lieutenant Governor saying we want an election audit, a forensic election audit. We don't have confidence in our elections. We want to make sure they're clean. And so with that, I also did writings for Javon Pulitzer. I've organized meetings in Davis County for mayors, county commissioners, and city councilmen to come and hear the problems with ranked choice voting. So I've done everything I can for election integrity. Currently, I've been very active with helping people who come to me daily who are losing their jobs over this federal vaccine mandate. And I'm showing them the power of affidavits, that they can try these affidavits and push it as much as they need to defend their jobs and to make sure that we stand on principle. So with that, helping Hill Air Force Base, helping the employees at the IRS, federal employees, police officers, I mean, people, all sorts of people in different career paths have come to me for this. I have worked on teaching people about liberties, and I'm very keenly aware of the dangers that are coming into Utah. Utah is a test pilot state. We have so many things that are being tested and tried here. And so I've been very active with helping understand, read, have conversations, and even do presentations about that. I'm not afraid to call out government when they need to be, and I have a story to tell you. So I recently went to a town hall meeting with Blake Moore. Yeah, just hear that.
Down for a minute.
And he chose 3 conversations that he wanted to have with the audience. And one of them was these vaccine mandates. And so he, in a series of words, said, you know, this is really messy, and it's really hard to overcome, and we're trying to figure this out, and OSHA just made it messier, and Biden can kind of do what he wants, so we're kind of, our hands are tied, was basically what he was saying. And Jill was there. And so when the time came to ask questions, I couldn't help myself. And so I raised my hand and I said, first of all, OSHA is not an elected body. Second, mandates are not law. And third, Biden cannot do everything he wants or anything he wants. And I said, show me the contract that Biden has with the people, because we did away with the 13th Amendment. We are all equal. Unless there's a contract with our consent for him to require or force us to do medical treatments, he has no business or authority to do that. Okay? And then somebody priorly said, but the government is probably a plant. But the government's job is to provide for the welfare of the people. If you look in Noah Webster's 1828 dictionary, which is not too long after the founding fathers and the Constitution, when that was formed, that era, look at that definition. You need to know what it means. General welfare can mean keeping evil at bay, protecting the pursuit of happiness. So that's what I clarified that, and then I finally looked at him in the eyes and I said, I am helping thousands of Utahns, people across the state, and even people across the globe with these vaccine mandates. What are you doing? Where is your fight? Where is your voice in Washington? Because we need somebody who's going to do it. And he didn't know what to say. With that, I want you to know that I am ready to embark on this journey in my life to a calling that I feel called to do. It's not because I want it, it's because I feel called to. And with that, I want to offer you my servitude and subjugate myself to you as a people to be your servant. My name is Alena Ericksen, and I'm running for Congress. I know that's how we know we're on the right course, is when we have peace. I trust God, and I'm willing to step into this gallery. With that, I would love support. I have a volunteer list back there. If you have time, if you want to be involved, just leave me an email or name, and I'll contact you. And we have some refreshments. I have a couple of daughters that brought some music they're going to play, and I just want to visit with the coordinator at time. We can have refreshments. But before we do, I'm going to ask my father-in-law, Steve, to offer a closing prayer. So thank you again for coming out. I am so grateful and honored. Thank you.
Utah truffles, because Utah is in trouble.
I love it. I love it.